There's only one thing better than the viral 3-ingredient yogurt cake. Guess what it is? Welcome to the Keto Baking Mechanic, where we create, tweak, and enhance keto and low-carb breads and baked goods, including authentic keto and low-carb sourdough. Hi, I'm Sherry Mack. You'll always get the recipe link in the description. Be sure to like the recipe. Don't forget to subscribe, and make sure that you hit that notification bell so you can be informed when I have other videos coming down the pike. The one thing that's better than the viral 3-ingredient yogurt cake is the viral keto 3-ingredient yogurt cake with 2 extra functioning properties: salted caramel. OMG, you're going to love this cake. This video is brought to you by Sinless Sourdough, or H&R meets low carb science. I'm the creator of Sinless Sourdough. I developed a line of keto, low carb, dehydrated sourdough starters that have been third-party independently tested for their authenticity. When you purchase a starter, you get a starter guide that teaches you how to bring your starter to life, as well as a whole bunch of sourdough discard recipes that I also feature on this channel. You can also invest in a membership if you'd like to take your keto sourdough journey further and learn more fermentation techniques and learn about 3 different styles of keto sourdough. It's all in the description in the Sinless Sourdough link. Okay, so before we get started, I've preheated the oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's just warming up now. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to prepare our baking dish. I'm using some parchment paper. I'm going to crumple it up. This makes it easier to fit firmly in the bowl. And we want to be able to get this cake in the oven as soon as we can. So I'm just going to spin it around. See, now that we have the caking dish done, I'm just going to give it a good spray. Okay, now that our baking dish is done, we're going to set that aside and we're going to start preparing the cake. So as I said, the 3 ingredients in the viral cake are eggs, yogurt, and sweetener, or sugar. Like if it's not keto, it's sugar. And I'm also going to add a couple of functioning properties in order to turn it into a salted caramel cake, and also so that so it's a little stiffer. I want it more cakey and less omelette-y, so to speak, or as less souffle-ish. Is that even a word? Okay, so got my... Okay, I'm going to add the eggs first. Now, I'm doing double the recipe for a larger cake because it's the cake dish is very tall, very deep. So I want to make sure that that it's not flat. So I'd like to have a nice tall cake. So that's why I doubled the recipe. So when you go to the recipe blog, you'll be able to do a version of a single recipe or the double. Okay. You can use any Greek yogurt you like. Just make sure that it's plain and look for one that's very low in carbs. You want to keep your carbohydrate net carbs per slice down as much as possible. Okay, next we're going to add the yogurt, but before we add the yogurt, I'm going to have a sip of my coffee. This is a North American coffee, and I say that because I got this, I got my cup at Dunkin' Donuts in Philadelphia. My husband and I were there checking out all the Rocky scenes. It was such an incredible trip. And I also have a relative there. So I picked up the Dunkin' Donuts, but inside is a Canadian Timmy's coffee. So I call it my North American blend. Okay. So now we're going to add the yogurt. Again, you want a plain yogurt, and look for one that's no sugar added, or one that's as low in carbs and sugar as possible. We don't want those extra carbs if we don't need to have it. Okay. Sorry if, oh, the oven's ready. Perfect. Sorry if my nose sounds a little stuffy. I have allergies. Okay, so now that we've done that, I'm going to add in the powdered sweetener and the caramel extract. Now I have 2 other things. So I've got Malden salt. I love the flaky salt. So I'm going to stir that in afterwards because I want them to stay as crunchy little bits when you're biting into the cake rather than it being ground in the actual batter. But I'm also going to add xanthan gum. So the original recipe that's not keto calls for cornstarch. Cornstarch is super high in carbs. We don't want that. But xanthan gum can do the same thing. You just don't use as much. And what this is going to do is make it a cake texture rather than a souffle texture. So I'll put that aside, and we're just going to turn this on and get it going. Let's see here. So okay, it's nice and smooth. And I'm going to pour it into our cake dish. Don't want to waste any. Added the batter. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sprinkle the top with some sea salt, some Malden sea salt. I love this salt. It's crunchy, but it melts in your mouth, and it's very healthy for you. So I'm just going to put that on the top so that you can have this cake for breakfast. You can have this as a brunch dish. You don't even have to add the sweetener. You could actually use the base recipe and make it like a smoked salmon dill cake, more like a souffle. Use less of the xanthan gum, so it has a little bit more of that egg texture to it. You can have it as a dinner with other ingredients in it. But today we're doing the keto salted caramel 3-ingredient version with 2 functioning properties. Actually, 3 functioning properties. We've got the xanthan gum, the caramel extract, and the Malden salt. Okay, so we've got the oven again set at 325 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're going. Look at this beautiful cake. Is this gorgeous? Oh my goodness. Okay, we're going to let this rest for at least 2 hours. It's going to deflate. That's okay. Before we turn it over into a tray. We want it to cool completely. So if you're doing this single recipe, you're going to bake for 40 to 45 minutes. If you're doubling up and you're doing a deep dish, then you increase the time. So this baked for about an hour and a half. You want to make sure that it's bouncy and golden. That's going to be on the bottom of the cake anyway. Bouncy and golden, about an hour and a half. Okay, so the cake has cooled, and you can see that it has shrunk. When I put it in the refrigerator, I added some paper towel, and then I put plastic wrap on top so that the paper towel could absorb any moisture that was still coming out of the cake, even though the dish was cooled. The cake still was hot, and because of the temperature fluctuation between the cake baking and the refrigerator, I didn't want to make the cake soggy. So I added the paper towel, and then I put the plastic wrap on top. So now we're just going to transfer it to, I'm putting it on my Lazy Susan. We're going to get this out. Look at this beautiful. Oh, I worked too quickly. Should have gone more slowly here. Isn't that gorgeous? Now this is a double. Keep that in mind. It's thicker. So in the recipe, I've given you both the single version and also the double. So for the single, if you want it to be thicker, you just use a smaller dish. And now we're going to cut it. Let's try this baby. Oh,